And welcome into Tennessee. That's hard to say. Too much going on. Tennessee Tuesday, two T's together. It's a wonderful Tuesday evening. It's raining, guys, here in West Tennessee. We've seen some showers and thunderstorms move through that we desperately needed, but good to be on the air tonight. A little bit earlier this afternoon, we had some storms, and I thought, man, I need a good internet connection tonight. We don't need to try to run on battery backups and hotspots. But we're here with you this evening, and so glad to have you join us tonight as we've got a special guest, Mr. Jimmy Vincent, who will be introducing to you here in just a moment. Also, my co-host, of course, for the evening is the one and only Jason Boshers. Harrison Dawes, also a.k.a. Moose, joins us producing and directing for us. Gentlemen, how are y'all this evening?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a good program tonight. We'll be talking about the Officer's House. We'll learn what that's all about and what you guys are trying to do, Jimmy, there, and save that historic structure. And we'll be talking about that and what's happening in the Highland Brigade in Tennessee. So that's coming up today. And also, we've got some other SCV business we'll talk about later on in the hour, some events and activities going on. But, Moose, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of give us our disclaimer for the evening.
Yes, sir. And I would like to ask everybody, please remember the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, its GEC, nor Divisions, Brigade Camps, or any of the subsidiaries, especially the Tennessee Division, strictly the individuals expressing it.
That's it. And so we're glad to be with you. We'll have our own opinions. And you've got these four guys here, and I know we all have some opinions, right?
Yes, sir.
No, only Jason says he doesn't have an opinion. I know he has one, but he's going to reserve his tonight. So, Jason, since you're my co-host, jump in. What's been happening over in Murray County?
Oh, shoot. Well, for one thing, like you said, we had a lot of rain last night. We've had some flooded out roads. It's been very interesting, everything that is going on. Of course, we've been very busy here in the Tennessee Division as we just finished up our DEC meeting this past Saturday. And I think it went very well myself. And then since then, last few days, I'm getting ready for the Order of Southern Cross. I'm a member of the Order, and we're having our reunion this coming weekend in Murfreesboro. So I'm going to be busy with that. But that's been it since we finished the DEC meeting. I've had some Tennessee Division business to come in.
Yeah.
I still want to, before I forget, and remember, we need to camps, do your 990s, okay? Because right now we are in that season. We need our camps to be doing their 990s, and there's some camps that have not paid Tennessee Division dues. I want to thank everybody that's taking the time to pay national dues. We have over 2,300 members in the Tennessee Division that have paid national dues. We have not quite that many have paid Tennessee Division dues. So, guys, get your Tennessee Division dues into us. And but I think we had a very good Tennessee Division reunion, just my opinion. I think it went very well. We got a whole lot of good business done. And so it's now I'm just getting ready for the Order of Southern Cross. And remember, that is a great, great organization. I'm very proud to be associated with them. So far, they've given 2 grants to the National Confederate Museum. Each grant, they were bought 10 of those cabinets to put in. Very beautiful cabinet. They are those kind of cabinets that are museum quality, museum grade. They have the right glass in them. They have everything they're supposed to have. And Order of Southern Cross has made that possible. And so that's what I'm getting ready for this weekend. So, and then after that, guys, we're starting to head into the holiday season.
It'll be here before we know it, Jason, and getting ready for that. We've got lots of events, and later on in the hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about our DEC meeting. We had a couple of presentations there as well, and some big news that we're not exactly ready to release yet. That's something we're working on in Tennessee that's been going on for a while. A lot of our viewers and listeners have given towards that cause, and we're getting ready to take a big step in the Tennessee Division here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll have that on Tennessee Tuesday as we get a little bit further along. But, guys, let's go ahead and jump in and welcome our guest, Mr. Jimmy Vincent, who is the Brigade Commander in the Highland Brigade in Tennessee. And, Jimmy, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Well, glad to have you, Jimmy. Kind of introduce yourself. Tell me about the Highland Brigade that you're overseeing as brigade commander. What camps are in there, and kind of what cities you cover.
Let's see. We've got Cookeville, Jamestown, Sparta, Spencer, Livingston, Birdstown, Baxter. I think that's it.
Man, you did good. I don't know when I used to get challenged as a brigade commander to do that. Man, if I didn't write them down, I'd mess them up.
I was counting on my fingers, so it.
Hey, that's the way to do
I
it.
got them all.
So, Jimmy, how long have you been brigade commander now in Highland Brigade?
A year and a half.
So you've got your feet wet in there, and I know the brigade there is very active. You and your camp members and a lot of your supporters there have really done good to do a lot of things in the brigade. And here in a little bit, we're going to talk more about some of the activities in the brigade, but let's kind of jump on in here briefly about what we're going to talk about this evening, and then we'll take our first break here in just a moment. So, Jimmy, tell me about the officer house briefly, kind of what this house is and kind of how this came into y'all's hands to save it.
The officer house is built by Alexander Officer in about 1835. I've known about it since I was a teenager, and this house has more history than any place I can think. Our area doesn't have anything like this. You know, it is during the Civil War. It was an important site. There have been reports written there from Joe Wheeler. And on March 12th, 1864, 6 Confederate soldiers were captured and murdered there.
Oh, wow.
Second Lieutenant Davis, Company E, 8th Texas Cavalry, had been wounded a couple of weeks previously. He was dragged outside, tied to a fence post, and executed, firing squad style. But the thing is, even the fence post still exists. All this stuff still exists. The house is stuck in time.
So we want to do this, Jimmy. We're going to come back in just a moment. We're going to kind of break it down a little bit about the house. You mentioned the age of it and more of the significance of it and what some of your plans are. I've got some photographs here ready, and we'll talk about the association you guys are forming and how you'd like to acquire this. And I know there's a GoFundMe out there too. We'll talk about that a little bit coming up here on Tennessee Tuesday on SCB Chat. Harrison, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know we've got some sponsors tonight we need to talk about.
Yes, sir. It is that fun time of having to pay some bills. So I will jump straight into that. Of course, I would like to refer everybody to our website, scvchat.com. You can see archived episodes, some of our favorite episodes, some very much good learning episodes. And, of course, you can watch the episodes live if you're having a hard time finding them, as well as our great T-shirt store. So check that out. But also, if you want to help reclaim the narrative 1 week at a time, go check us out on Patreon. We have a $2 a month Feed a Moose tier, which I didn't get to name. Still saying we should name it something else, but that is just general support. If you want to just throw some easy money our way, as a broke college student, I understand that money can be hard to find, especially when that's how we're fighting this war today.
That's
so
true.
If you want to just throw in some money to help us out, do the $2.50 a month Feed a Moose tier. But if you want to get your name at every episode, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, some ideas and stuff we're shooting around. We're trying to figure out some more stuff to add to y'all. As I said, we already have an exclusive show. Check out the $10 a month tier, the Real Chat Head tier. As I said, you get your name at the end of every episode. Check out the $30 a month tier for exclusive merch that only you will be getting as a $30 a month merch tier member. Exclusive SCV Chat merchandise that even I never have.
Oh, wow.
It is only the people that get that tier will get the exclusive merchandise. Not even the heads of SCV Chat, me and Connor will get it. And, of course, also the $80 a month tier, which gets you a sponsorship. I know we've talked about people wanting to sponsor the show. Well, now we have a quick and easy way for you to do it. For $80 a month, which roughly translates to $10 an episode. Now with Tennessee Tuesdays, you're getting an even better deal. This was made up before Tennessee Tuesdays. You get a sponsorship, of course, at the beginning of the episode. Your name gets dropped at the end. as well as the middle of the show. And I have something cooking right now to make it even more enticing for the commercial break part, the sponsored part.
Awesome.
But our sponsor for this episode is Dr. Chris Cummins, MD. If you are in the northern Mississippi region and you didn't eat that apple and now you got to go to the doctor, go check out Dr. Chris Cummins. He will treat you with some good Southern hospitality, make sure he treats you right and gets you back on your feet and get back out there. And he is great at treating patients with knee pain and helping you out there. And so definitely go check out Dr. Chris Cummins. I know I haven't eaten an apple in a while, so I might go check him out myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank all our sponsors and remind everybody we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday on SCV Chat. I'm your host, John Blankenship, joined by my co-host, Jason Boshers, and also Jimmy Vincent is our guest this evening. And Jason, we've got many different avenues where you can view us, learn about Tennessee Tuesday. Of course, not only on the SCV Chat channels as well with the YouTube, of course, the Facebook options as well. We have a Facebook group that you can now join and follow us there, a Facebook page, as well as a YouTube channel. I believe you're still muted, Jason.
Yes. How about I unmute myself? Yes. We do have all of that. And I think right now we're streaming on multiple different, on different we're on Facebook and YouTube, but we're also on SCV Chat. We're on Tennessee Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube. So we're trying to expand this out. And I want to thank John for working on this and being part of this, because this wouldn't be happening without John, and I thank you for it.
Absolutely, Jason. It's exciting to do this. This is something I've been talking about doing for a long time there. Again, there's the different locations you can see and follow us. So we've got those shared on many of the different pages you see us tagged as well, so you can find us. Again, we're glad you're with us this evening. Hope you're enjoying the program so far. And I see Moose has jumped back in, and we lost Jimmy there. So Jimmy may be coming back here with us as well. Did he drop off totally? I think he did, gentlemen.
Yes, he did.
Let's go ahead and throw this up there. Let's throw that comment up there, since he's one of the owners of SCV Chat. Connor Bond, you've never eaten an apple, have you?
My business partner betrays me a lot. I have not eaten an apple in front of him, but I do enjoy apples. It's actually one of my favorite things to eat when I was a child. I just haven't eaten them in a while. That's probably why I need to go to the doctor. I enjoy eating them, but I love the fact that, again, my business partner, we've talked about this on the show, is always okay with throwing me under the bus.
Man, that's terrible, man.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him, but he's a busy man right now. I know he's engaged, and again, I think we've said that once, but congratulations there on that engagement. Moose, you're next. We're working on that by national reunion. We're going to have that. We're going to have that set up for you. You're not going to have any say in that, by the way. We're going to pick that young lady for you.
Hey, okay.
Hey, you agreed to it, so whoever I bring you, this
is going to come back to haunt me in the gag reel.
Well, Jimmy Vincent is back with us again this evening. Jimmy, I know you dropped off. We're glad to have you back with us, and we were talking beforehand. Absolutely, and we were talking beforehand. If you're not with us, I don't know if we could do this program and talk about the officer's house, as we don't know that much about it. That's why we've got you here with us tonight. And Jimmy, let's jump back in. We told a little bit about the kind of the brief history of the house, and you'll see these pictures I'm going to share and bring up on the screen. Let's talk a little bit about, maybe you want to talk about the architecture, kind of what the house looks like, maybe size and dimensions and stuff like that.
It is a big house. I mean, it's a really big house. It's got an L off of the back. It's got a kitchen all the way in the back off of the L. It's 2-story. I wouldn't know what the square footage would be, but it's big. It's big by modern standards. It was a very nice house at one time. Absolutely beautiful house.
So going back to, you said mid 1830s?
Yeah, 1835.
Well, I'm going to show a picture here now, Jimmy. Inside, you want to talk a little bit about, if you can see that there, we're seeing the one of the fireplaces, and where is that located in the house?
That is in what it has 2 parlors, and that is in one of the parlors. If you see the guy pointing toward the ceiling, that is our founder, Craig Capps, I believe. Okay. This isn't my idea. I mean, this was Craig's idea. I just sort of asked if I could help, and somehow I ended up being the chairman of the Officer House Foundation.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this foundation. I'm going to share another photograph as we go along. This is a group of individuals I see you guys have put together to save this house. Let's kind of talk about what you guys are doing there. Kind of how did you get together, and let's talk that way.
I actually saw a post on Facebook. It said, saving the Officer House. And I reached out and I attended their first meeting, and we just sort of went from there. It was a loose, just a few people got together. Those are most of the people at the meeting. And then we decided that we could do this, and we're going to do this. So, and we've elected a board. We've incorporated. We're recognized as a 501(c) by the state. We have all our stuff done through the state. We have filed for 501(c) status now, and we're progressing at it's impressive what we're doing in just a little time.
Yeah, y'all are definitely moving along, made great progress, got that part done. So let's talk a little bit more about the house, and we'll get into more of the history, what happened there, why it's so significant again. So you guys don't own the house yet. Is that the plan to acquire it? Who owns it now?
I cannot remember the guy's name. I'm sorry.
It's an individual that still owns it then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He came to our last meeting. I mean, he's on board. We have asked him to donate it to us. I don't know if that will happen, but we've completed an appraisal, and we've got him, and we'll make him, if we can't get it donated to us, we'll make him a cash offer, and just go ahead and outright buy it.
So the plans to restore, are you just doing preservation to kind of keep it like it is, Jimmy, or do you want to restore it to what it would look like in its heyday?
We will stabilize it first, and then we're going to take it back to 1860.
Okay.
No electricity, whatever they'd had in 1860 is what this house will have, because we're going to go all the way back. This house is unique because it even has original wallpaper. I mean, you can go back and see what this house looked like in 1860.
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the significance of the house. We kind of touched on it before our first break, Jimmy, and give me some more of that history of it. We've talked a little bit about the builder. We want to make sure our viewers are understanding. When I first saw it, the Officer House, I think of like an officer in a military role, but this is the family surname, their last name.
Yes, sir. It was built by Alexander Officer sometime between 1835 and 1838, in that time frame.
So is it a log cabin under the clapboards, or?
We are not sure yet. We'll have to do some digging to find it. I'm assuming in this area there was post and beam construction. up in this area. So I'm assuming that's what it would be, but we don't know. I mean, we have not. Everything is all the clapboard. Most of the siding is still intact. Everything on the inside is intact. So we've not seen yet.
So when was the last time it was lived in? How long has it been vacant?
1992 or 1993.
Oh, so it's been sitting a while. A great piece of property, and you can tell by those photographs. Probably really don't do it justice, but that one of you guys standing out by the road by it, it's a large home. Yeah,
it is solid. I mean, it is solid as the day it was made, and that's why we're confident that we can bring it back.
So, what are the plans to do with it after you do a restoration or preservation of it? What do you guys want to use it for?
The plan is, or that we've discussed, is that once we get the house restored, we will build facilities on site. We'll have, like maybe an office, a little place where you can learn, maybe a place where we'll get a video shot, you can watch that, and tour the house, maybe sell a t-shirt or a book, but that's down the road. We would like to have a driving tour with that as an anchor point around the sites around in our area. There's nothing like that around here right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. It'll draw tourism. And of course, having this, it not only helps preserve the property, but it brings tourism dollars to that city and county.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I'd like to get people out to, see our little local museums. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff and interesting people out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jimmy, we haven't talked much about its location. You don't have to give the exact address for the protection of it, but what city is it in? What county are we in?
It is about 4 miles from Monterey. It is in Overton County, just inside Overton County line.
So a worthwhile project you guys are working on. So our listeners that are watching this evening, let's talk a little bit about the Confederate connection. I know we're mainly SCV members tonight and supporting the South. So tell again about its connection to the Confederacy. What happened there on that site?
March 12th, 1864. There were some Confederate soldiers that had stopped there for breakfast, so the story goes. One of the officers' sons, John Officer, was also there on leave. The Federals, with about 200 troops, rode up and surrounded them. They tried to hide and stuff. John Officer, Alexander Officer's son, was hidden by a trusted slave named Uncle Abe Officer.
Okay.
But the rest of them were found and murdered. And there's no other word for it. It was murdered. Yeah. These were uniformed Confederate soldiers. These weren't guerrillas. These were uniformed Confederate soldiers.
So, Jimmy, where are these soldiers that were killed? Where are they buried on the property or?
They're very close. They're about a mile away, I guess. And their graves were marked. But it's so sad that I have trouble talking about it sometimes. It's just
an example of what happened in the South. And we know stories, especially across Tennessee. I know them here in my area. And then, of course, this one, how the Southerners were treated and what happened to them. I think of the story of Jack Henson. That kind of comes to mind with this. What happened there with his sons.
And there's a story. And Lieutenant Davis, the one that was executed, his last words were, "Boys, you ought not do this. I've done nothing but my sworn duty." And that just plays over and over in my head.
Oh, wow.
I've done nothing but my sworn duty.
That's what they were doing. They were doing what they were charged to do. And we've got to honor these men. And this is a good way to do it, to preserve that house. And their last place they were with us was there, and we're telling their story. Jason, I'm going to give you a chance to jump in here if you've got any questions for Jimmy or things you want to know more about.
Well, and I want to thank you for the questions that you asked, because a lot of those went through my mind, like what happened to the 4 Confederates. You say that they're marked about a mile away. Are they in a private cemetery?
Yes, they're in a private cemetery.
Do they have Confederate headstones?
They do.
Okay.
I was given the honor a few years ago. I got to decorate the graves by the Livingston camp.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful for you to do that. I'm familiar with that up there. I have been to the gravesite of your camp namesake, Softly. Yes. And that's a very humbling story in and of itself. Do you mind taking a moment to tell that story?
James Softly he had literally just graduated law school in Louisville, Kentucky. Literally. He was raising a company for the 6th Kentucky Cavalry. They were in, where my family's from, Travisville, Tennessee, and they were surprised by the Federals, when there was maybe a little skirmish, but it was more of the Federals firing at them. Champ Ferguson's younger brother, Jim Ferguson, they just happened to, fight on the wrong side. Supposedly, and I've been told this my entire life by everybody that's ever told me the story, that he shot Softly in the back. Mm-hmm. So, and I've always heard this. I've never heard a variation of the story. It's always the same. That Softly was shot in the back by Jim Ferguson, Company C, 1st Kentucky Cavalry.
Wow.
Wasn't he one of the first people killed in Tennessee?
Yeah. Yes, sir. He was the first person killed in the military engagement in Tennessee during the Civil War.
Wow. Okay. Now, let's take a moment to talk about his gravestone, because that's how I got familiar with you and Mr. Softly. So please tell that story.
When I was a teenager, I had gotten a car. And the only way I could drive my car was for somebody to go with me. My mother and my grandmother wanted to go visit graves, so I tagged along. And just to hurry them up, I guess. I wish I could remember who, but somebody pointed Softly's grave out to me and said, "Read that." And so I read it, and something clicked. And my interest in the Civil War started right there at 15 years old. Killed by Jim Ferguson, Company 1st Kentucky Cavalry. Now, go on later, about 40 years, somebody steals James Softly's grave marker.
Okay.
Steal a grave marker. I mean, I have nothing. But this was before I was in the SCV. I got on, Facebook and all that other stuff. I got it in papers, get the word out. Maybe we can, find the stone or whatever. We didn't, so we were able to secure a VA marker and install it. And this is how I met Jason. Jason came to our ceremony. Mm-hmm. And, I met him. Jason wrote me $100 check because the original plan was to have the marker duplicated because, we thought it was gone forever. A couple years later, I got a Facebook message from, some random person telling me they needed to talk to me about a tombstone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I said, okay, whatever. Because I thought because at one time there was a reward, and I thought they were going to, either try to extort me out of the reward or something. And I talked to him, and he said, "You don't understand." And he sends me a picture. And this picture is of me, Mike Williams from the Cookville camp, and Matt McClanahan from the Crossville camp. He said, "Do you know these people?" I said, "One of them's me. They're the other two are my friends." Mm-hmm. And then he introduces himself. His name was Chuck Wenzel with the Racine County Police Department. Mm-hmm. He said, "We have recovered the grave marker." And I said, "No, there's no way." He sent me a picture, and on the bottom of the picture it says, "Evidence locker." And I said, "When can I come get it?" But they wouldn't let me come get it. And we went back and forth a little bit. And he told me, he said, "You cannot tell anybody this is an active criminal investigation." Mm-hmm. So for 2 weeks, I sat on this information, couldn't tell anybody. I was the only person that knew. I thought I was anyway. But a friend of mine, very poor from the Livingston camp, called me. He said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "They found a grave marker in Wisconsin." And he said, "How did you know?" I said, "I've been talking to them for 2 weeks." Now, the Pickett County Police Department sent a cruiser to Racine, Wisconsin with 3 deputies. And they run all the way there and all the way back in one trip and brought that grave marker back, released it to, our members of Sons of Confederate Veterans, me being one. And we were able to reinstall James Softly's marker after it being all over the United States.
So how did it get to Wisconsin, Jimmy? Did you ever find out?
We never found out. I'd like to know. But
what were they doing with it, I guess, just as a memento to keep? Or
it is unique. I've never seen a grave marker with, the person that killed you on it. I mean, it's just different, I guess. But I don't know who from our area has connections up there or with up there. But a lady jogging found it or saw it in a ditch over a guardrail and reported it to the police. I offered the lady the reward, and she declined. Very nice lady, by the way. But we've got the grave marker back. With me and my girlfriend and very poor, reset the marker, this time in 200 pounds of concrete, but it's back where it belongs.
Yeah. I mean, that just shows you never to give up hope in your research. If you're doing that tombstones, they'll end up across the country.
Yeah. And I believe this stone actually had on there, like you said, the gentleman who killed him, but it also he was the first person killed in the state of Tennessee during the war.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a beautiful marker, and to actually have it and get it back is something very unique. And it is beside of his replacement military marker.
Yes.
Jimmy, how long had it been gone? When was the last time you saw it to the time? When did it come up missing? How long was it gone?
It was in 2020. No, it had been before that. I think it was 2018 when it went missing, and we got it back. I think we reinstalled it in 2022. This whole thing took about, it was gone for a while.
I think it was. Don't give up hope. You'll find what you're looking for if you look at it.
I believe we did the math and figured it up. It was between 3.5 to 4 years from the time that they knew about it until it had been re-erected. Yeah.
So did they ever find out who did it? Did they ever identify the individual?
No, but I do keep the Racine County, police department. They have an interest in, in what we do. So we made an impression there. Real good guys up that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Jimmy, let's talk a little bit about here. I've got this GoFundMe page we're going to bring up, and we'll share it. Let's drop it up here. You want to talk a little bit about it and what you guys are trying to raise up?
I literally started that today. So we have tried to make, more than one way for people to donate if they wanted to, and make it easier for people to donate. We figured to start, we need about $100,000, so I went 120, just give us a little cushion. But so far, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with what it's bringing in. And
there's already at the time of our video,
we've incurred
$50.
That's good. I am very pleased because I honestly think that we're going to make this happen. I mean, I was apprehensive at first, but I now believe that it's going to happen.
Absolutely. So, Jimmy, again, if folks want to find out. Yeah, folks want to find out more about this, you can go to GoFundMe. You can just search the Officer House Foundation, and it'll bring it up so you can give there. You can share it out as well. And, Jimmy, if they want to learn more about what you guys are doing, you've got a Facebook page, a Facebook group that they can follow?
We do, the Officer House Foundation.
Yep. I joined it.
Come join the page.
to do it. Yes. There it is.
Because we're very active and we're very serious about this.
Well, great work you guys are doing to save this, and it's a worthwhile project. And I believe if you work at it hard enough, you'll get it done.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yes, sir, we will.
Well, Jimmy, before we wrap up our time with you, let's talk a little bit about the brigade, if you would, and kind of what you guys have got going on. Y'all are very active up there and lots of things happening with the camp. So I'm going to kind of let you kind of lead where you want to go there with what's happening that way.
The next big thing we have going on is hosted by the Monterey camp, November 29th at France Cemetery, just inside White County, at the cemetery where Champ Ferguson's buried. But that will be our biggest one here in the, coming up soon.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jimmy, some folks have asked about that when I've seen on a couple of Facebook pages. That is open to anyone to attend, correct?
Anybody that wants to come, we'd be happy to have them. Monterey camp would love to have them.
So you've got that guy, you've got that coming up. What else you got going on? What are some of the other camps actively involved in?
Right now, that's about it. Everybody's done their thing for so far. But right now, that's our next big thing.
Lots of great stuff. I know you guys are active. I get to follow one of your chats, and man, y'all are some of the busiest folks in the SCV, and I applaud you and all your members and OCR members and et cetera that do so much.
I am surrounded by good people. I mean, it's easy. We have good people. I've got to be a member of the finest group of gentlemen that ever walked this earth. So, and I'm very pleased, very happy.
Absolutely. Well, Jimmy Vincent has been our guest this evening on Tennessee Tuesday. Again, Jimmy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being with us, and know the door is always open if you want to be on with us anytime. Jason, any last comments or questions you got for Jimmy?
Actually, I do. I wanted to piggyback off something that he talked about, and he was talking about doing this driving tour. And I think the driving tour, you're very familiar with the area. How far is it from the officer house to the Softly Cemetery? And how many?
45 minutes, maybe.
Okay. But so you could look at doing a whole driving tour, because that whole area around Livingston, they have quite a bit around there.
They do.
And to be able to use this house, as you said, it could be the keystone. It could be the keystone in the wheel. And, this is something you have, and everything could branch off from there to go into all of these other places that you're talking about. And I like that idea. I really do, because people love these driving tours as something that we can promote. As you know, there's several different camps that are promoting their own driving tours. And this is something that falls right in the wheelhouse of the brigade and Camp 929.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But we need something like this up our area.
Yes. I'm very optimistic about it. This is very good.
Yeah. We're going to make it happen.
Yes, sir. And I thank you and all your people that on this whole crew that's working on it. I counted those 9 people, and 9 dedicated people can get a whole lot done. Yeah. I'd rather have 9 dedicated people than 19 people that are so-so, and these 9 people will get something done, and that's very good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And thank you for coming on and being a guest.
Oh, it was an honor.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Jimmy, again. Any final things you need to leave us with? We'll make sure we give you all the opportunity you need. Anything else you need to share?
Join our Facebook page. We plan on having a YouTube channel about the restoration process of this, and we'll have a website here in the coming. Shouldn't be too much longer. We're going to. And we actually have people with ground penetrating radar that want to come hang out with us. So we're going to have all kinds of neat stuff going on.
Well, and since you mentioned it, that house was built at the same time frame that Elm Springs was built. It started construction in 1835 and finished in 37. And this house started in 35 and finished in 38. So the ground penetrating radar and all of that's happening because, as you know, we're putting the Forest Plaza back. So all of that ground penetrating radars come in because we're searching for any more graves or anything else that might be there. So y'all doing that is a huge thing. Yes.
My girlfriend got me an introduction to them. That's the guys that are coming to the officer house.
Mm.
So,
yes.
Well, Jimmy introduced her. Is she there with you tonight? I think I heard her in the background. And I know she needs she's your better half there. So you want to give her a little credit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
She's been listening the whole time.
Other than getting the dogs.
Well, we appreciate again all y'all do up there. And I know, like she said, I know the dogs are excited. They may be hungry or something, Jimmy.
Yes, they're trying to figure out what I'm doing. The birds have been quiet, and that's a good thing.
So do you have birds that talk? Are they those type of birds?
Well, they just make noise. That's about all they do.
Again, Jimmy, thank you so much. And let us know if we can do anything for you. And anytime you want to be on, you're more than welcome.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, all right, Jason, we're going to go ahead and take our next break. We're going to come back and talk some Tennessee Division news. We'll talk about our Division Executive Council meeting, and we'll also talk about next program coming up next week. We've got a special guest that will be on and an event coming up around Morristown. So we'll talk about that and more on Tennessee Tuesday on SCV Chat. We'll be right back.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. You know, my father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive. Or, as Robert E. Lee said, the best way to disrupt your enemy's plans is to strike first. Everyone should do all in his power to collect and disseminate the truth, in the hope that it may find a place in history and descend to posterity. History is not the relation of campaigns and battles and generals or other individuals, but that which shows the principles for which the South contended and which justified her struggle for those principles. If you're looking for some place to be where you think you're going to accomplish something to save our history, go to the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I'm Thomas Lee Jesse. I'm a descendant of Private Daughtery Gilmer, a Confederate veteran.
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday on SCB Chat. I'm John Blankenship, joined by Jason Boshers this evening. And Jason, great discussion with Jimmy Vincent, the Highland Brigade Commander in Tennessee, and a great work they've got coming up.
Yes, that's very exciting news. And I love to hear everything that they have planned. And that tells me they've got some thought into this. They've got a plan of action. And, you know, that's the biggest part of anything like this is to get out in front of it. And they're getting out in front of it. They've thought about it, they're planning, and they're executing. So I'm curious to see, you know, this is something that Jimmy could come on, you know, once a month, once a quarter, something like that. Just give us an update, show pictures, do all of it. Yeah,
we appreciate everything they're doing up there, and a lot of work goes into saving an old home like that. As you can see by the pictures we've shown, Jason, it's got a long way to go. But I believe with the energy that they have in that area, they'll make it happen. A good group of individuals, and that's what it takes. Not just one or two, but it takes a body of folks working together, and they're going to make that happen.
No, they will. And if it was 3 of them, you go, well, but it's 9 of them, and you know those 9 will be able to do something. And like I said, I'd rather have 9 dedicated people than 19 so-so people. You know,
that's true. You're exactly right.
And they'll end up getting it done, and they will do. And I'm curious to see how this is going to go. They could actually be writing the playbook on something like this.
Absolutely. And this is kind of not to cut you off, but there's some other properties in Tennessee. We've kind of talked amongst some of our members recently, a home that's been lost. We won't get into too much of the detail of that tonight, but it's why we've got to look at these homes, identify them, find out what these historic properties are. Now, we can't save them all. We know that. But if we're identifying the ones that are endangered, especially with what our interests are in Confederate-related history, and get groups interested. We've got a depot here in a town over from me that we want to save. Again, it's expensive, but there's a group of individuals that are coming together that are like-minded to try to save these properties. There's examples all across Tennessee and the South that it's been done. We can do it.
Oh, very much so, and I agree. It just, and like you said, we can't, since we can't save all of them, we're going to have to focus on the ones that we can. And the one thing that we can't do is wait until it starts to be talked about. By the time it has already been sold and changed hands and talked about being developed, it's kind of sort of too late by that time. We actually need to be out in front of it and, already be active and proactive in it. And then maybe we could, I'm not saying we could stop it, but maybe we could slow it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's when we wait until all the property's been sold and they're going to develop it.
Yeah. As we know, big money's involved in these projects, developing these sites. It's tough. That's, again, why we need to be out in front, as you said. And something someone talked to me about today was the National Register of Historic Places. And, Jason, I'm sure you're familiar with it. And I encourage folks, if you can get these properties on it, that's important to identify them, that they're recognized. But note, that does not save a privately owned property from being demolished. It's just a recognition. So keep that in mind. You hear all the time, well, it's on the National Register. How can they do that?
It's still privately owned.
It gives it. That's just something to remind you that it takes just more than that. You've got to get a group together, own the property, and preserve it that way.
Yes. That's why I like what they're doing. And I think that this is, I just don't know the words for this kind of timing that you have. You have this talking about losing this one home, this one structure. And then here we are in the process of talking about saving this other structure, and all of it happening at the same time. And they seem to rise up at the same time. So, I think that, good Lord gives and the good Lord takes away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, this is a situation where you've had some people that are out front and involved, and they happen to be at the right place at the right time. And they got mentioned about the home.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just timing and being at the right place at the right time, but you still have to put yourself in that situation. And that's what they've done. They've taken charge of an opportunity, and that's what it is. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity, and they stepped up and stepped in the gap. It's tremendous.
Again, Jason, if folks want to follow that again, we've got scrolling at the bottom of your screen now. You can find out the Officers House Foundation. If you want to give towards their GoFundMe, also they have a Facebook group, the Officers House Foundation. You can follow there as well. And to keep updated with the great work that Jimmy Vincent and all his folks are doing there in the Highland Brigade to save that house. And Jason, let's move into a little bit of Tennessee Division business. How about that?
I'm following you, boss.
I'm not going to scare you too bad. So I'm going to throw this photo up. This is one from this past Saturday. We were at Elm Springs there at the National Confederate Museum inside the McCain Library we got to use. We appreciate Adam Southern for making sure that was open for us and available to the division to use. Just a great site in there, and you can just see a few individuals that were there. Myself, you allow me to lead as the Tennessee Division Commander, and just a great group of men to work with. And Jason, we accomplished a lot of great stuff on Saturday.
Yes, we did. We had a good group of guys there. We had a full house. We had them all the way around the table, lined around the wall. We had a good turnout, and we had a good turnout of spectators, just people wanting to come see, because this is a division meeting. If you're a member, you can come. You can sit in.
Absolutely.
And they did. And, that's what is encouraging to me.
Yeah.
Is to if it was, let's just say it's 24 of us on the committee and just 20 of us showed up or 12 of us showed up, and there were not any spectators. But now we had a group, I think it was only 3 people that didn't make it in person, and they made it in Zoom.
And that worked well. And it's encouraging as being division commander to see folks. We appreciate the ones that are officers that have been elected or appointed, but folks outside of that circle of folks that are there to see what the division is doing. We want you there. It's open. That's been one of my things I've kind of preached since I was elected Tennessee Division Commander, that our division is open to its members to know what's going on. There's no secrets, nothing's hidden. And I appreciate the input. I've had a couple that have sent me messages after, hey, I heard this and had a question, or, hey, what if you tried something like this? Hey, I like that. That's good stuff, because there's things we don't know at all. And there's some good ideas from our members that they bring to the table. And I hope in time it encourages them, Jason, to step up and run for positions and officer positions.
Well, now, I think that's exactly what it's doing. I got to be honest, that was just me. I started going to them. When you start going to them, you start getting involved, you start getting excited. If you never attend any of these things, you feel like you're outside and you don't feel like you know what's going on. When you go and you start to get involved and people see you want to get involved. To me, the gentleman that we were set around the table, but the spectators, the people that were lined around the wall, they're going to be officers in the future. And they're going to be replacing you and replacing me.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be doing. We need to train our replacements. The first thing you do when you get a position is start looking for your replacement. Because
and you don't want to be in it forever. That's something we see in a lot of organizations. They say this person gets elected president and the organization dies at that point. It stays with them forever. I don't want to be Tennessee Division Commander for 20 years.
No,
I want the next person after my time is up to come up ready to take it and bring their ideas to the table and keep it going. It's been going on as many years as it has since the 1890s. We've got to keep it going.
Oh, and you're right. And I think you touched on it from there. From a personal perspective, I want to see somebody come in that has new ideas and new energies. Because, you think of the length of time that you've been involved and the length of time that I've been involved.
Yep.
Well, somebody who comes in that has different thoughts, different ideas, and has a different energy level. Because, there comes a time, if you've been at the let's just say that you've been camp commander for 10 years.
Sure.
Everything's always been done the same. Now you bring another guy in, and let's say you were the same age. Yeah. But he has not had 10 years of that. He has new ideas, new thoughts, and new energies, and he's going to do something different. And sometimes that just might be what the camp needs to get nudged to be going.
Yeah.
It doesn't always need to be my way, because I'm just one person.
And each person has their own talents, Jason, too, that they bring to the table. And I tell people all the time, what are your talents? Where can you work? There's a place for them. We've got an individual that's probably going to take over our division newsletter now, which, hey, I'm super excited about to see someone doing that. And they want to do that. They want and take it and make it their own. We want new people in these positions. It's tough in not just in the SCV, but every organization, finding people to do the roles. And it's a big responsibility. You said this many times. We're not paid. It's a volunteer organization.
Yes.
But there are people that want to help. They want to further the cause. They want to remember the Confederate soldier. And there is a place for them in the SCV and a role for them to have.
Oh, well, there's room for people in this organization if you want to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you want a position, just don't fill the position, do the work. If you're just going, okay, I'm going to be a brigade commander. You don't contact your brigades. You don't go to the brigade meetings. You don't host anything. All you do is show up at 4 DEC meetings a year and cast a vote.
Yeah.
Brigade commanders are one of the most important things in the chain of command, going from down from the camp level all the way up, and from all the way up back down. And, so it's a difference between somebody taking the position and doing the job. Somebody that wants to come in and does the job, you don't want that job for forever, because after a while, let's just be honest, you're going to hit a certain level of burnout.
You will.
And it's going to be, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's time for somebody else to. And to actually see those gentlemen that are there that want to know what's going on. And there's people at the table that's, brigade commanders and that now, they're going to be replacing us. Thank goodness. Thank goodness they're going to, so.
I mean, that's how the organization continues if it just gets stuck with 2 or 3 guys. And we hear that. I heard somebody recently saying the SCV has the same old people over and over. Well, that's why we need people to step up, run for these positions. I mean, you've been national commander in chief. You would think there'd be 10 people running for that position. You want people to step up and run for not just that role, but the roles that people want to do it, not for a position or a title, but to do the work and do what we're all about. What is our charge about, Jason? We say it over and over. It's paraphrasing here. It's simple: to honor the Confederate soldier.
Yes.
That's what we're about. If we're not about that, then what are we doing? We get tied up in the business and the emotion of things. But let's not forget, on our Saturday DEC meeting, I sat on the table in front of me and, passed around to all of our members a daguerreotype of my ancestor from Hickman County that served. And I wanted that as a reminder. When I look at that, this is what I'm here for. This is why we're here. We're here to honor him, and our actions and the things we do should honor him.
Yes. I mean, that's the essence of the organization. I mean, if you think about the charge, it was to you, Sons of Confederate Veterans, and it tells you everything you need to do to remember and honor our Confederate ancestors. To you, we're asking you to do this. And, and to see Chuck there was good. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate Chuck coming down, and I know he told me that he really just ate that up and enjoyed it, and we're glad to have him. I'm glad to see that excitement. Folks want to be involved and do things in our organization and continue the work. And again, each one of us have a special talent, as we said, and just like in the scripture, you find your calling and abide in it.
Yeah.
Find what your role is and get in there and do the work.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, let's move along here. This is a picture from Saturday. A friend of mine who's also in my camp here, Jim Collinsworth, received his Tennessee Division life membership. So you got to present that to him on Saturday. Jim is a hard worker, not only just here locally, but he takes care of 3 to 4 cemeteries. And I can call on Jim, Jason, and say, hey, let's go to this cemetery and do this project. He's right there to do it. And so he's now a Tennessee Division life member. So got to do that. And I finally broke down, Jason, after putting it off for years and years, and said, I'm going to stop sending money to the division every year. And I'm going to go ahead and join with that life membership. Your division commander has officially become a division life member. And that's about time, huh?
Yes, it is. And I don't see a picture of that up here.
I didn't want to toot my own horn there. So here's what I thought was funny about the picture. I saved it this weekend. I looked, I said, so on the certificate, it has my name signed. And I'm like, I kind of presented my own certificate.
Yes, sir. You presented yourself your own certificate. Yes. Yeah.
But again, life membership is important. Of course, we have that in our division. And I'm telling you, it's $100 for a life membership in the Tennessee Division. And one good thing about that is we get all the money up front, and also in the background, it helps that you don't have to worry about paying that every year, and those things are taken care of, and you're a member. And I'd encourage you to do a national life membership as well. I did that a few years ago when past Commander-in-Chief Strain had a discount on life membership, and I joined during that time, and makes it easy and don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I'm a division life member. I'm a national life member. Our camp doesn't have camp life member, or I would have that, because it's just go ahead and give it money up front. It's based off on the Tennessee Division, dues are $5.
Yeah.
It's based off 20 years worth of dues. So if you're 40 years old, become a Tennessee Division life member, because once you reach past 60,
it makes good sense.
Yes, it does. It does.
I see here Floyd has mentioned that they've started a division life membership in Arkansas.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that they did. Yes. It's a good thing. It is, and it's just one of the things that just go ahead and it's for Tennessee Division. It's $100.
Yeah.
You know, it's $100. Now there was a time when I was growing up, $100 was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
You know, now $100, if you got that's 2 tanks of fuel right now. You know,
it's crazy, Jason, and that's a whole nother subject of how expensive things are from just what they were 15, 20 years ago in my lifetime. And we're not talking any age, but you've seen more years than I have. But how much things have changed. Just simple things about. You remember you could go to the store. Now I'm gonna tell my age that you could buy gum for 25 cents. You probably remember when it was about a penny, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember you be able to get the gum that had the baseball cards for a nickel.
Yeah, well, that's showing the age there, but it just shows how things have changed. And for the most part, a lot of our income hasn't changed. So I applaud our members for staying with us. When times are tough, they still pay their membership. They're still here honoring their ancestor. We've talked about it's like a Coke a day for different levels of things.
Yeah.
Honor your ancestors. The SCV does a great work. We hear negative out there, people that want to complain, but I just watch these other camps like Jimmy and the great work they're doing. I want to support the work our division, our camps are doing and continuing to honor our ancestors.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it was a nickel, but it wasn't a whole lot more than that. I do remember getting a bottled Coke and a candy bar and it not being $1.
Mm.
But I also paid 69 cents a gallon for fuel.
Now, I do remember when gas was under $1. I mean, I'm still old enough to remember that.
Yeah. And it was fuel then. It wasn't, 10%, 20% corn. Yeah. It wasn't ethanol. It was 100% fuel. And you were, I paid 69 cents
Good
a
old
gallon.
leaded fuel, right, Jason?
Oh, yes. Yes. Good old leaded fuel. You had to do something, keep them valve guides in good shape.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about some other things happening across the division. It's been a busy time for fairs, and I'm going to feature just a few of these that I was able to grab photographs of. And in future episodes, if our Tennessee Division members and camps had something that's going on, send those in to us. You can send them to me or Jason, and we'll give that contact info a little later that you can get that to us, and we'd be happy to feature some of those on Tennessee Tuesday. And there's the John R. Massey camp there in Fayetteville. James Patterson and others that work their booth there. And you can see a great job they do up there. They're very active and lots of things going on in Fayetteville. And then, of course, my own camp here and our camp, the Hill Freeman camp in Trenton, and the Colonel R.M. Russell camp partner together every year for the Gibson County Fair in Trenton. And there's our booth this year. And again, for several years, we've won awards. We got second place this year again. So we're glad to be able to do that. I tell folks, Jason, as long as they'll let me be there with the Confederate battle flag, I'm going to be there. And there's usually about 50 to 60 of these booths. So we've won first place a few times. So that tells you that folks still respect the Confederate flag and understand its history. Always great comments. And some of those things that always surprise me, Jason, is the comments that are positive always outweigh the negative. And the ones you wouldn't expect to give you a positive comment are the ones that ask questions and sincerely want to know. So be at these places. It's important.
Of all the traveling and everything that I've done, I've only been protested twice.
Yeah.
And every other place, it has always been a positive reception. So that percentage is actually a very small percentage. And when we talk about the court of public opinion, we're talking about the general public very much is in agreement with us, and they have been. Maybe at times they were hesitant to do it by the political climates that were going on. So we'll just leave it at that and not get into any of that.
But things are changing. We're seeing those winds shift. I saw something in the news today that some of these old, I believe it was YouTube channels that were restricted or banned, and Moose, you can comment on some of that have been allowed to reopen those channels back. We're starting to see that stuff as things are making a shift in our country.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and say, and John called it the winds of change, and the winds of change. Remember, I can remember when being Southern was cool.
Yeah.
I can remember that. And, you know, you wanted to be, if you were playing Federals and Confederates, you wanted to be the Confederate. You didn't want to play the Federal. And now, then that wind shifted. Now it's starting to shift again. Now, remember, wind's going to change direction again.
It will. It'll happen.
That's the reason why, you know, you have to gird yourself up to be able to go into the next fight that we're going to have, because it's coming. Don't say, oh, well, we'll be okay now. No.
It's coming. Be prepared for it.
Yes, because that's when apathy kicks in. Now is when you have to pull a Forrest and you got to keep up the skier. You know,
Jason,
now is
something that was really good in there when we played different things as a kid, or we had different toys. We always wanted to be the Confederate. And I think the same thing. I had a set my dad had. It was a quote unquote a Civil War set, and it was a Southern antebellum home. It's from the 50s that they played with. It had the Union and Confederate soldiers, but it didn't have a Union flag. It only had a little metal Confederate flag. And I can remember as a kid, even before I was ever interested in this, I wanted to be the Confederate as well. What happened to us in the South, Jason? What went wrong? And this could get us on a soapbox here. That we stopped being Southern. We stopped remembering the Confederate flag, not as a symbol of hate, as it's so much been used for, and it has been, but that it was something we were proud of. It identified the South. You would see it everywhere, and nobody was offended. What happened?
We started letting people tell us how we should feel about things. We started taking people who don't matter, and we started, you know, because there's certain people in your life that are going to matter to you.
Yeah,
you're going to care what they think. You know, once you realize that there's a lot of people in this world that are just simply not going to like you. Okay, and there's some people in this world that you're not going to like. So you let these people tell you how you should think and you should feel. And the way that we were brought up, you know, we studied, we did our own, and now they rely on people to tell them how they think, how they should feel. And a lot of it has to do with this thing right here, because, I know social media is how we get the message out, but it can also be the devil's playground.
You're exactly right.
When you start looking at that, and it will tell you, this is how you should feel, this is how you should think. You don't need that information from me. You don't need it from Moose. You don't need it from anybody that's on this. We're just here to talk about this. You need to do your own research, form your own opinions. You don't need to adopt somebody else's opinion, and you don't need somebody who doesn't play an integral part in your life, like your parents, your spouse. You don't need to be taking advice from a lot of those people. You need to be, and you don't need people telling you. Make your own mind up. You have a brain. Use it. We started taking people's feelings into consideration.
Yeah.
Feelings.
We want to make it cool to be Confederate again. We want that same thing you had as a kid. I did. Moose the same way, that you wanted to be the Confederate soldier when you played some kind of game. That's who you wanted to be. You wanted to have a battle flag. You had one in your room. You had one in your window. We've got to get back to when it was a cool thing. Again, we've said, Jason, as we know, it's been used in many wrong ways, and those hate groups have destroyed that in many ways. But we're not using it for that. We're using it to honor the soldier that fought, bled, and died under it. It's a symbol of the South in a right way, and that's what we're here to preach and here to teach, is what the Confederate battle flag is and what the Confederate soldiers stood for. That, there were slaves in the South. Many of our family members probably owned slaves, but there's also proof of how things were cared for, how they were taken care of, how they were part of the family. There's good and bad in all of it, but there's so much more than just what's been taught in the public school system and others, that here's what it is. We just have to take it and accept it, study it out.
Well, and you're trying to take modern mindset and apply it to the past. It doesn't work that way. And think about it in this one simple term. We're talking about something that happened 160 years ago. let's just go ahead and let's say 200 years ago now, because now we're in the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. Okay,
Yes.
so, okay, let's take 200 years ago. Now, here we are, we're in 2025. Now, let's fast forward to 2225. Are they going to be saying and using their mindset
Mm-hmm.
and applying it to what we're doing? Because time change, people change, situations
That's true.
change. I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago. And by the time I roll off this world, I'm going to be a different person again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because your mind, you know, you just, your life changes as you go. Time has that impact on you. But
will.
I know that I can't sit there and go, okay, what they did was wrong. No,
Mm-hmm.
because they could be sitting there 200 years from now going, well, what they were doing was wrong. They could
true.
pull this very show up and they could use it as a targeted to rebuttal everything that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
It's
so
why it's important what we do now, Jason, that we're documenting history. We're recording this. You know, we know stories. We've heard stories about this happen here and there. We've got to document this for future generations, that it's written, that it's recorded with documentation that these things happen. If not, they're going to be forgotten about. Like you said, they're going to rebut us and look at these things and say it's not right. It's why it's important we do that work. We not only do we fight in lawsuits to protect our history, but we're still furthering our history by documentation and sharing it.
well, and to me, that's you know, I heard we've all studied Joshua chapter 4 and the parable of the 12 stones and what it means to go and put markers up and headstones up and all of that. So your children and your children's children will ask, what mean ye these stones? And, you know, and then you hear one of the old pastors come back and say, you know, Randolph H. McKim, when he said, nothing is ended until it is forgotten. And as long as we're sitting there and we're talking about this, we have to keep, and that's what I tell people, and by having this show, and now we've got 5 years of SCV chat, you know, this could be listening to this. I've turned the TV on every now and then, and they have a whole channel dedicated to the 1970s TV shows. You know, you give it enough time, there's going to be people that are going to be watching the reruns of this, wanting to know, what do you mean my grandfather or my great grandfather was on an SCV show? And they'll want to watch it and they'll want to see it. But we have to get it, and we have to get it right. And we can't stop talking about it, and we can't let people tell us what we should say, how we should feel. And that's what happened. And people go, well, do y'all remember that old saying, we need to go along to get along? Come on. That's not the way that it's supposed to be. You don't go along to get along. When you do that, you're just going to roll over for everything else. Remember, there was also a time when people didn't realize that there was a difference between a nice guy and a good guy.
That's true.
You know, a nice guy is generally going to get run over, but a good guy, he's going to be a good guy. He ain't going to let you run over him, though. So now that's all kind of merged together, where he's a nice, good guy. No, are you a nice guy or are you a good guy? You know, and that's the thing, is they've allowed this stuff to, and they go around inventing words and all of that. So now, and definitions are changing every little bit. So let's just do what we're supposed to be doing. The Bible and the charge has told us everything we need to be doing.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Well, Jason, talking about what we need to be doing, here's another example of one of our camps in Tennessee, the John Hunt Morgan Camp 270, and some of the work they're doing there, set up with their booth that they do each year. And you can see they're set up there. That's very nice, many in uniform. And let's also look at one more. This is the Ism Harris Camp, 109 in Paris. There they set up at their county fair. And you can see a great looking booth. I know that was well responded to. They've got their Battle of Paris event that we've learned about again at our DEC meeting, Jason, that they're working on getting organized. I believe they just completed the 4th year or going into the 4th year, one of those. And it's been successful. They've had events there on Court Square, been well received, been to those. And again, we're getting out there sharing the history where people see those monuments on Court Square all the time, but we're there not only just to say that monument's still there, we're there to tell them why it's there and why it's still important that we care about them. I just hate to go in a place and you see a monument that just nothing's ever been done to it. It's just run down. That's why if we're doing our jobs well in our areas that we have camps we can work on, we're caring for these, it shows their memory's not been forgotten, that they're still important. People want to know more. When they see a bright, shiny monument, I've seen the Sam Davis monument was cleaned. When you see that spotless like that, you're like, something must be to this. Somebody's taking care of this.
Yes, and that was cleaned at the end of August. We had a work day out at the Sam Davis home. I cleaned it a few years ago. This year, there were a couple of guys that got to work on it and do that, and that is to be able to clean the obelisk of Sam Davis is one of those rare honors, and I'm happy to see them. Happy to see people out there doing that and working on it. And I happened to be out there that day. Did help them a little bit. Did get on the scaffolding and all of that, but to actually work on it and clean it is a wonderful thing. Yes, if not us, who, and if not now, when.
That's a statement that you've said a lot as your time as commander in chief. And I think about it often, even though, Jason, that's a statement we've heard for many years in our life. Many different ones have said it, but it's still true. It resonates to what we do. If we don't do something, you've heard me say this, are we going to be the last generation to honor the Confederate soldier and remember him?
Oh, yes.
We don't want that to become a reality. We want it to continue. And that's why we do things like this show. And you mentioned this medium. That's why we want to grow it. So 50 years from now, somebody's archived these and they find these programs and they're giving information. And somebody said, there's something there that those guys 50 years ago knew what they were talking about. There's more to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've heard it said over a number of years that, all that is needed is for evil to win, is for good men to do nothing. And that is the reason why that we're supposed to do that and do what we're supposed to and keep the charge and keep our Christian charge, because the Christian charge is given to us. And you asked Moose an important question earlier, and that was having to do with these groups on YouTube and channels that have been banned. I don't know. And Moose was going to come on and talk about that, and I talked too much and he didn't. I don't know if Moose wants to come on and talk about that now and talk about the swing and how all this is done and what that means.
Yeah.
It is a drastic win, Commander. And no, you can talk as much as you want. I always like hearing Jason talk. I got on the phone for 3 hours one time with Jason. I think I might have said 2 things to him. But
and I'm long-winded.
I think you have more in common with the Kennedys than you think.
Hey, Moose, you get me and Jason on the phone now. We've been having 6 and 7 hour conversations.
Oh, I told him I don't mind it. I enjoy talking about this organization, but it is a major win considering the fact that YouTube is where a lot of people get their information. A lot of people watch TV on YouTube now.
Yep.
I know 3 households off the top of my head that use YouTube to watch TV.
Hey, that's the way I do it, Moose. I don't subscribe to anything else. We've even done YouTube TV, but now I'm just watching YouTube channels.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people do that, either YouTube TV or YouTube. And having those voices be able to come back now after all these years and say, hey, you're welcome back. We attacked your freedom of speech. Come back and say what you want to, is a massive win, not just for people like us, but just freedom of speech in general. But I do want to harp it on something Jason said earlier. With YouTube being probably the biggest social media platform when it comes to viewership, you have a couple other ones that have more members, have more monthly people that get on it. But when it comes to people going somewhere to watch and learn, YouTube is by far the best.
That's where you go.
And I want to harp it on what Jason says. The wind's blowing our way now, but will it be blowing our way in, say, 5 years?
That's true.
And so we need to spend this next couple of years on YouTube really pushing hard, building these great followings, not only for that, but so people also know where to find us when we probably more than likely get kicked off one day.
Because I see this, Moose, and you probably do too, that we always use the many social media platforms, but then when the things change, that we've got our own platform that's built up. That's why fundraising is important. Some may say, why do you want money for this? It costs money to do this, and we want to grow it. And I know that you and Connor's vision is to make this a full-fledged network. Wouldn't that be great that that's what you did full-time? You're promoting history, Southern history, and you had 40 shows of people doing live programming.
It is the ultimate dream, and the reason we want to continue on with the SCV chat is because we can see the great things that we could do for the cause with it, whether it's new shows, different forms of content, and that's why we're trying to push everybody to YouTube and Facebook. You know, again, right now we kind of have a bit of a chance to really push this and improve it to a point where I think it would surprise a lot of people. If they were fighting us hard and we reached 1.6 million people, imagine where we kind of don't have any obstacles right now.
Yeah.
It could be crazy. So that's kind of what I want to suggest to everybody now.
With the death of Charlie Kirk and the assassination there, this is just an example. We hate somebody's life was taken, but it woke the country up. It woke conservative people up like us it's time to do something. It's time to make a change.
And I know it woke me up faith-wise, political-wise, and even SCV-wise to the point where I'm like, I could be doing more. And, you know, as I said, I kind of started working on my own little project that I hopefully will be able to reveal soon. But, you know, it has woken me up to the fact that we have to get on social media. We have to attack it. We have to get out and promote our heritage. Because the number one reason we have a website, by the way, is for the event we do get kicked off.
Absolutely.
We need more money to make sure we can go live on it. We need more money to, of course, promote videos. But right now, you know, we got a bit of a safe cushion for a couple years. YouTube is going to help us out. I think we all need to make sure we're taking advantage of that. And if your camp doesn't have anybody right now that's technologically savvy, you know, go out and try to recruit someone that is and see what they can come up with. I always encourage everybody to make a social media committee or heritage promotions or whatever you want to call it. I know a couple camps do it different ways. Divisions do it different ways, and national, of course. But this is the year. I truly believe 2026 is personally, I think, a very big year for online promotion for this organization. And then you add the next couple of years on top of that as well. I think there's a great chance for exposure to this organization.
Moose, do you envision something like trainings for this that we eventually are able to teach classes to an extent to teach people how to do this, what to say, what not to say, what you need to learn that you've got to be careful of, how to use the technology? I mean, people want to do this. I know people say, hey, I'd love to do something like that. Guys, it's not as hard as you think it is.
No.
Practice makes perfect. Again, I've done broadcasting for 20 years, so I'm comfortable talking behind the mic, and camera's a little more new to me, but I love it. It's fun. But you can just practice makes perfect.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. Understanding that you will make mistakes. I mean, again, I've been doing this for 5 years, 52 weeks a year, 2 times a week. And a couple of weeks ago, I messed up. You own it, you move on. You know, I would love to teach classes. I go around to camps trying to teach them the starting points of social media. I would love to teach a quote unquote, for lack of a better word, advanced class, because I tell everybody, you know, yeah, YouTube and streaming and all this stuff does look intimidating. It isn't as hard as you think it's going to be. It's just a lot more work. So I always give the basics. You know, this is where you should start with Facebook and Instagram. But I would love to see us slowly start being able to teach an online class to get more shows like this, to get more videos up. Because, again, this is not going to be won by one thing. SCV Chat wasn't meant to be the one online show fighting this. We were meant to be the start of something bigger. And I truly believe that we have done a good job here me, Connor, and everybody that's helped us along the way, like Jason, like you, coming up with this show. And I see great things. We just, as I said, everything need more help, need more money, but that's the story of life, ain't it?
Yeah. And there's so much more. I know people say everybody harps on money. Everybody does that because it takes money to operate. You guys are not, you and Connor are not getting rich. Y'all are not sitting back in big $1 million homes saying, man, we're rolling in the dough with this. You have a vision, and in time you stay, as you've seen for 5 years, you've stayed with it. It's grown and will continue to grow.
We do not make any money from SCV chat and the Patreon. It all goes back into the show. A couple weeks ago, I went to a camp meeting and realized that I did not bring any money. So I had to find money in my truck to make sure I could get home. So trust me, I wish I had a bit more money. That'd have been nice. But I'm not making any money. Connor's not making any money. It all goes into making videos, keeping the software we have, hopefully getting more software, promotions, and that's just the name of social media game. It's an industry where it could bring up a lot of money for this organization in donations, but it's also going to cost a bit to get in. You can do stuff for free, and I highly recommend you do, but to get serious, you do need to spend a bit of money.
Yeah, I mean, free is good. It's a way to get started, but you can develop it even further. And before you know it, Moose, you're going to have your own studio, and it's going to be nice.
I'll have a picture of Jason behind me always.
He'll always be back there on some kind of plaque, a memorial plaque. We better be careful saying memorial. Memorial means dead.
Have a memorial plaque with the year that he went in as commander-in-chief or the year he heard about SCV chat, because I'm pretty sure me and Connor took years off his life, and we're just going to put it right here.
And took off some heights too, I think, maybe.
Oh, yes. Yes, well, I think what it did was it truly encapsulated the T-Rex, because it beat me down and grew me out, so I'm still putting my belt on with a boomerang, and I'm going to get where I'm going to need a running, jumping, a trampoline to get in the truck before long. So
if you will try that, Jason, I'll buy a mini trampoline for you. If you'll try to run, hop on that and hop in your truck.
Can I film it?
Yeah, if we can do video of it, I'll buy one of those little $100 trampolines for you to try that.
That's going to be the intro to y'all show if you do that. Just every week, just who's ready for Tennessee Tuesday? Boom.
Don't tempt me.
He'll do it. That's an idea.
That'd be great.
Gentlemen, we have one more thing to mention before we wrap up. Of course, next week's show, we'll be back with you, and I believe that date is the 30th, if my calendar's not in front of me, the 30th. We'll be back with you next Tuesday evening, and we have Mr. Jordy Barnett, who is with the Bradford Rose Camp in Morristown. They have their Footpaths of History Cemetery Walk coming up October the 18th. So he'll be on with us here on the program to promote that and their fundraiser they do. They're a neat old church and a neat cemetery. So they'll do that cemetery walk on October the 18th. And Jordy Barnett will join us next week. Confederate Standard Time. I've got to make sure I get that right, Moose, and not just say Central Time, but Central or Confederate Standard Time. We'll be back next Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much tonight. I know it's a little past 8 o'clock, or actually it's half an hour past 8 o'clock. We've been going an hour and a half tonight. I thank both of you guys for being here and help co-host this show and produce it. And again, Moose, thank you so much for opening up SCV Chat to allow these Tennessee boys to get on here and do this.
Yeah, and while we have a moment, let's go ahead and promote the upcoming shows. Tomorrow night, we have Sean McFall and Look Around Florida. Thursday night, we have Look Around the Confederation. Moose, what do you have planned on that?
We're going to be going over some news. I am currently working on a guest for either this week or next week. Trying to figure out when would be the best time, because it's some great news I want to share. But the event for it is coming up this weekend, so I don't know if they want to wait till after or before yet. But either way, we got some interesting stuff planned for Look Around in the future as we're gearing up for, of course, election season, which would dominate the first half of next season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, a lot of people wanting to come on and talk about projects. So soon we'll be having a bit more guests on Look Around. And of course, we can't forget about Friday Night Live with David Pope and the Friends of the Douglas Southall Freeman group. And, of course, Sundays with Michael C. Hardy. With History with Hardy. He's renamed it, so I have to think about it now.
Yeah. Hardy on History.
Yeah, Hardy on History. See, he keeps getting me. But those are kind of our shows. And, of course, next week we'll be continuing our Confederate Catechism series on the Monday show.
Sounds like a busy time coming up. Again, thank you so much, Moose. You can come back and join us next Tuesday as well. We'll look forward to being back with you on all the different channels. Tennessee Tuesday on social media, on Facebook, the group, the page, as well as the YouTube channel, of course, SCV Chat the same way. You can find us, and scvchat.com, I believe, is the website, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. And Moose, it's all yours, and thank you for having us.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Again, make sure to share this episode out. And without further ado, stay Southern. Good night, everybody.
Good night.